that chemistry as the season went along. We had a pretty win early in the season against Stony Brook, where a kid had put up 40 points against us, but we still pulled out the win. And then we would also have some really tough losses, to show that either way we were capable of anything on the high and on the low. So I never knew exactly what we were going to get. But one of the things I did want to talk about was outside of basketball, what some of you guys on the team can work on just in life. This applies to on the court, but also off the court. I'm sure everyone here mostly knows Julie Bialik. I love the Bialiks. The Bialiks are why I'm a part of this organization. I look up to both Julie and Jeremy really heavily, and one of the things that Julie had said is she was glad that the boys were playing on the Wildcats was the fact that the game of basketball squeezes you as a player, right? And the things that come out when you get squeezed are the things that you bury deep inside, and it's kind of easy for you to hide, right? So if you're really angry, but you're good at suppressing it, right? It's really easy to be nice to someone when it's going your way, right? When you're winning or the ball's in your hand or whatever, right? But it's when you're losing, the ball's not in your hand, the ref's not giving you any foul calls, the coach is yelling at you, your parents are yelling at you, the fans are yelling at the coach, right? Those are the instances where you really start to feel squeezed as a player. And honestly, the only games that we really lost this year are the games where we got squeezed and the things that came out weren't Christ-like, right? So when we didn't have that Christ-like attitude being squeezed out of us, those kind of negative things coming out, those were really the only games we lost. We really did make great strides in that towards the end of the season, specifically in our last game at Nationals when we didn't necessarily have something to be playing for. I was really proud of how the boys came together, how they lifted up one another, and how they played a close game. It was one of our better close games of the year. So on the year, we went 21, we got 17 and 11. 17-11, so that was pretty good for us. I think last year might have had a losing record, but definitely had a different group last year. Just moving on to the team. You guys can come up here, I just realized that. You guys can all come up, I feel lonely. You guys can see, we have a couple of prima donnas on the team that wear sunglasses inside.
Prima donnas.
Anyway, alright. So for our awards, all year long, we were led by kind of two studs or two big dogs that kind of set the tone for us, offensively and defensively. So for this reason, I'm handing out co-MVPs, also known as the Joel Owen Award, to Nate Dove and Julio Graves. All right, for the next award, this was one of the really easy awards for me and Bryce. When we sat down and talked, this took all of 5 seconds for us to both agree upon who this would be. So this player was an amazing teammate, an amazing opponent, a great kid to coach all season long. He cheered for his teammates no matter how good or bad they were playing, never complained, and was always the first to volunteer whenever I'd ask someone from the team to pray. That is Isaiah Haichu. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. This is not this player's first time winning this award. This player was pretty obvious once again to Bryce and I on this one as well. Whenever he wasn't in the game, we noticed defensively right away. He made it tough for whoever had the ball or didn't have the ball. It was basically like a heat-seeking missile out there on the floor. And this goes to Noah Ball. Funny story, Jacob, last year when you gave him that award, you said he wasn't afraid to break a hip. Yeah, I went back and watched it. Noah broke his hip right before Nationals. So, kind of funny backstory. So, the last one was the one that I kind of had a hard time deciding on who exactly to give it to. The whole team, as the year went along, improved heavily. I mean, mentally, physically, on and off the court. But I have to give it to this player for a couple of reasons. One, he went from averaging about 8 turnovers a game last year to just under 4 this year. But really it was more of his attitude on the floor. He been our point guard for the last 2 years basically, and has to deal with all of the pressure of when we play public school teams or teams that come and trap us, right? He's having to deal with all that pressure. And last year there were several times where he would kind of crumble underneath that pressure, but this year he really made strides in that of, not getting upset and blaming a teammate for a turnover or blaming something. Even if he did turn the ball over, his reaction to it was completely different. So our most improved goes to Nate Dove. So as I wrap up here, I would like to thank Bryce Small for keeping me calm. I thought I was a pretty calm assistant coach, right? Maybe? Not so calm as a head coach, so Bryce did a great job of keeping me calm and telling me like, hey, that everyone's already frazzled out on the floor. You should, keep it calm on this time out. So I really appreciate you keeping me calm there and just being around and being here for the boys this season. I'd like to thank all the parents for getting the kids to the games and for having patience with me in my first year coaching. I know we had a lot of practice changes of times and the days of the week and locations, and even our game days would change or game locations would change. I would also like to thank my beautiful wife for being so gracious to give me the time to be able to put in with these boys while she is taking care of our 2 kids at home. I love you. And I'd like to thank you boys for allowing me to coach you, for being coachable. Just put in the work this off season and really work on the mental aspect of the game. Don't underestimate how much that means to you guys going forward, and all sports and in life. Thank you. I'm sorry if I don't know who's next. Oh,
It's like right in front of you on the thing.
All right, let's see how this goes. I'm just going to call everybody up on our very large family of JV players. So, EJ Smith, Nate Dove, Julio Graves, Dax Olnick. Dax here tonight?
No.
Ben Owen, Caleb Dove, Zach Beachy,
I think they did.
Jackson Bales, Braden Wapner, Zach Meekum, Rock Reffitt,
He's not known.
Brogan Wilson, Eli Mariner, and Julian Reimer. Okay, good. We had enough room for everybody. This is great. I thought, just the way that this season went, I might have had my 3 substitute coaches come up here and maybe take a paragraph and fill in for me. Josh, Trey, and Buckets Junior Visual, otherwise known as Joel Owen. But I figured, hey, this isn't Bloomington South, Warren, or Tech, so I guess I'll be here. So whoever made that meme, great job. Thank everybody for being part of the Wildcat family this year, all the players, families. Thank you, parents, for allowing your sons to be part of the program. And thank you to the parents that gave me words of encouragement throughout the year. It really meant a lot. Cody's first year, I felt some of those pains, those struggles all the way through. Trey, Josh, and Paul, they've done it. But I'm sure they would enjoy the words of encouragement as well. So I personally really appreciated that. It meant a lot. The JV program, so it's an extension of the varsity team, right? It plays an important role of building a successful long-term high school and varsity program. It provides a great opportunity for guys to get better, push themselves, push their teammates, and then eventually when they're on varsity, some of these guys are, but limited roles, they're more prepared for it. So this year we had many challenges. We all know what those were. I'm very proud of everybody that's continued to show up, work hard with a positive mindset, even when things weren't going our way. It's huge to push through some of that adversity. And it's important to go through that adversity because we can use that as an opportunity to grow. So I don't want to speak for Paul, but I'm going to bring up just the level of challenging things that he's brought up part of the high school team. We play the hardest, if not the hardest, schedule in the state, homeschool schedule in the state, Midwest, and probably nationals. So we took our beatings by playing some of those public and private schools, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I know it was a lot of frustration with myself and these guys. We didn't have a great record. We didn't have any trophies to show off for it. And again, that wasn't quite the most fun thing to be a part of, but we battled through it. We probably had our best game probably at regionals. Would you guys agree? First game of regionals, easy. That came after our hardest practice. And I think we can agree on that one as well. So we beat that team by about 30 points. I bring this up just to remind you guys that in the future, going forward, it's very hard to beat you guys if you play as one unit, selflessly and for the brothers right next to you. So I just want to remind you guys of that as you go forward. The success of these guys, even though we didn't have the greatest record, no trophies to show off for it, but it's not going to be defined by the 2023 or 2022-2023 season. If they use this season as an opportunity to grow. Some of you varsity guys that had to go through some JV pains, I think, can understand that coming off the season that you just had this year. So looking forward to next year, junior high guys that are moving up to the high school level, I want you guys to be ready to build on those skills that you have right now, put in a lot of work. High school, as some of you guys can attest, is a little bit different than middle school. So be ready for that. And then for these guys that are coming back, look at the current varsity team right now. There's 3 key players on that team right now that only played JV last year. Got very little varsity experience. Okay? Use that this summer off season to prepare yourself for potentially a bigger role next year. And it's key to follow your coach's instructions, your parents' instructions at home so you're able to play, continue to work hard, and give everything with your best and with a positive attitude. With that being said, some awards here. Christian Character Award, we'll start with that one. I want to give an honorable mention to Zach Beachy. I think we've all heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. This is our quiet guy. He didn't say much, okay? Although at nationals, when he was on the varsity program, we got him to speak in some long sentences during our devotions. He was kind of forced into doing that, so we got him to speak. But I wanted to bring him up because he's been a great example. Micah, who played with the varsity team last year, very similar guys. They lead by example, not by their words. He always showed up, worked hard, supported his teammates. Hopefully he does that at home as well. Raised by 2 great parents, but also he comes an hour away to play for the Wildcats. So that's a huge commitment. So I want to thank the BC family for that as well. The Christian Character Award is going to go to a guy, it's his first year with the Wildcats, but from day one he bought into the program, he loved everything about it. He set a great example by usually being the first person at practice. In practice, sometimes he told guys that were getting a little bit more playing time than him what to do on offense and defense. So he knew what to do, sometimes better than they did. Again, a guy who didn't really get to play a lot, but he was very supportive of his teammates. He would even jump up on the bench celebrating a three. I want to say his highlight was probably at regionals too, hitting his couple threes that he had. I'm excited to have him back next year. Zach Meekum. The next is most improved. A lot of guys improved, but this one stuck out to me. It's his second year with the Wildcats. I didn't meet him last year. This is the first time I got to work with him. He was always supportive of his teammates. Very respectful to myself as a coach. He had a few early season outbursts, whether I was in practice or in a game. But over the course of the year, this guy improved his knowledge of the game, his basketball skill, and he even started to play himself into a much bigger role as the season went on, especially near the end of the year at regionals and state. Whenever I asked him to do something, it was always, yes, coach. There was no questions asked, yes, coach, I'm going to go do that. One practice, he was struggling with his offensive footwork. He would start to dribble and he'd start to travel, so we spent an entire practice on his footwork. A week later at regionals, those same moves came up. He was able to execute them and scored a couple baskets on those moves. So proud of him. This type of player is exactly what coaches want. Probably most parents would want. Someone who's respectful, tries his best to learn, and immediately applies what's being asked. And I'm very excited to what he can do as his career progresses. So, Brogan Wilson.
And he's not here. Not seeing him. He's not here. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year. Bearing something unusual, most defensive possessions ends with a rebound. Okay, and this player had a lot of them for us. He was always matched up against the biggest, most physical player on the other team, but sometimes he was asked to guard some guards. He was able to do that. He was a very key anchor of our defense. Probably going to break a Wildcat rule here, but he also played varsity. Okay, so I'm going to use a varsity example to award him a JV defensive player here. At Nationals, the varsity team was in the Elite Eight. It was the Sweet 16 game against KC Metro. The KC East, whatever, the same thing. Okay, big guy, probably the best big guy we went up against. The varsity team gave up 18 points to this player in the first quarter. Okay, he got subbed in early second quarter, so it was about 7 minutes to go, and played basically the entire game from there on out. I know you're laughing, you gave up those points. So over the next 23-ish minutes of the game, that player scored 10 points. So in the first 8 or 9 minutes, 18 points. The next 23 minutes, roughly about 10. And I would argue as his coach, JV, that 6 of those 10 weren't even on him. It was more of a team fault, not his own. So I got his back on those. And that's going to be Braden Wampner. All right, MVP. So, rewind at the beginning of the year. So, I got asked to coach the JV team a week before the season started. I was the last pick, I guess, from Paul's draft. Some of the coaches that were asking for contracts, they turned them down. So, if you guys are looking for a contract, JV next year is up for grabs. But with that being said, I had a couple stipulations. I'm going to miss a lot of practices. I'm going to miss, some games. I officiate high school basketball. Those games are set in stone. I can't get the games back. Okay, fine. We'll find a fill-in. That's where I get 3 other coaches that should be up here with me right now, but they're not. Officiating basketball. We all get on officials, right? Yelling at them to do stuff. Hey, if we give you more money, would you give us some calls? Could he pay me for our MVP trophy to use on junior high? So we do not have an MVP trophy this year. No, but in all seriousness, we had so many guys step up. One game it was one player, the next game it's somebody else. It was the ebbs and flows. Nobody really stuck out as the true MVP of this team. So it's, I know, but we really don't have a JV player. It's more of a team thing this year, and I hope you all continue to prove this off season for an even bigger next year. Learn on our mistakes and go off of those. Make yourselves even better than what you are. JV team.
Okay, first I want to thank some people. Carol and Brad Brookwalter, they took care of all of our stats for the whole year, which was a lot. Laura Tolbert, where's she at? Laura Tolbert was our live streamer who had the calmest voice, and I want to thank her for taking care of that. Will Tolbert, who would step in and out from Northwest Warriors to help when he could. Jacob Gorley, he was able to help a couple times as well. I want to thank the junior high team. Without the junior high team, we would have had 9 people to practice. So we made our practices include junior high. So thank you to Andy Wirtz, Jacob, and all of the junior high players. And then I want to give a huge shout out to our JV team, who is like non-existent, but we had to have JV girls in order to play a lot of the public school teams. So that meant Natalie Tolbert, step forward. Melissa Tolbert, step forward. Audie Garcia. Rochelle Beachy. Ainsley Wilson. Lydia, stand up. Lydia Alvey. Kaylee Clausen. Who else was there? Olivia Wise.
And more.
Olivia Wise, and then Addie Reese. Addie Reese, she's not here right now. So without them playing against some really good public school teams, we would not have been able to play as a varsity team. And a lot of those games were painful to watch. I'm sure they were painful to play. So thank you. Thank you very much for stepping out of your comfort zone and taking care of that. So back in May 2022, we found out that we needed a new coach and that we would only have 4 returning varsity players. That kind of hit hard, and we weren't sure who was going to coach. We didn't know if we would even have a varsity team. So I remember Hannah's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for my senior year? And I'm like, well, let's pray about it. You know, if we feel that God is leading us to homeschool, then He'll provide a way for you to play basketball your senior year. And so we prayed about it. We asked certain people to coach, and they declined. And so it kind of fell in my lap, which I'm very thankful that it did. And we had 5 people step forward to play varsity. And I'm really thankful that they did. We, our record was 23-13.
Woo!
And we were second at the Crossroads Clash. We won state. We got 5th at regional, getting beat by HEA. And then we ended up winning the bronze ball for 9th place out at nationals. So I was really, really proud of them. I'm going to introduce the players from youngest to oldest. First is Natalie Tolbert, 7th grader, who was asked of a lot. She, to come to a team that's pretty successful and to be forced to play against girls that are 18, 19 years old, that are big, faster, a higher IQ. That's a lot to put on these kids' shoulders, but she stepped up and she was pretty much our sixth man for most of the year. Next was Adi Garcia, and she's a freshman. She had no varsity experience. Not a whole lot of basketball experience to begin with, but she came in and she tried her hardest. She listened to her sister. Her sister, Rhea, was a really good teacher, and it was fun to watch them be able to work together. Next is Melissa Tolbert, another freshman. Another freshman with no varsity experience, but she worked her tail off. I didn't hear her complain. Always had a smile on her face. Always laughing at the seniors. Next is Addie Reese, who is not here. She's our last freshman. She wasn't even sure she wanted to play basketball, and she finally decided to play, and I'm glad she did because she became our fifth starter for the year. Then Rochelle Beachy. Rochelle Beachy is our newbie. She's a junior and never played ball. So to join a team as a junior and to have I'm sorry, honey, you had no basketball IQ at all, okay? But it's okay, because you do now. She grew up with, how many brothers do you have? I know that the Beachies have the most siblings. I do know that.
Thanks to Varsity Trivia.
6 brothers. So she grew up being around it, but she tried, and a lot of it was hard, but she never quit. So I'm really proud of you, and thank you for playing with us. Next, we got our seniors. Holly Woodard are you 17? She's our young senior. She could actually play another year.
Hits it.
But she's choosing not to. She's choosing to, I'm sorry, 2 more years. She's choosing to move on. She was our big. I mean, she's big up here, but she has heels on. 5'10"-ish. And she had to guard all the gigantor people that we played against. I mean, 6 foot, 6'4", 6'3", monsters. She had to guard them, and she did it well. She ended up averaging, she had 19 double-doubles. 19 double-doubles in the season. That's pretty impressive. She never got down, and I thank her for that. Next is Julia Bookwalter. Julia Bookwalter is our cherry-picking 3-point shooting specialist. She averaged 15.4 points a game and was really a true menace from the 3-point line. She's now part of the Lady Wildcats 1,000 Point Club, and she has a total of 1,455 points, and she won the 3-point contest out at Nationals, so way to represent. Next is Rhea Garcia. For anybody who does not know, last year, Rhea's like, should I play AAU? I'm like, yes, play AAU. It's so good. May comes and she tears her ACL. So I'm feeling horrible because I told her to play AAU. So she was supposed to have surgery in June. And some silly COVID test came back positive, so she couldn't have it. Got bumped back an entire month. And in an athlete's world, a whole month, I mean, that's a lot. So she had surgery in July and fought like crazy and worked like crazy and was finally released conference weekend. So she got to play the very last half of our season with us, and I'm so grateful. Out at Nationals, when we played Rush, and they were all dead, Rhea pulled out 20 points in our double overtime win. I remember vividly between the first and second overtimes, she was sitting on the floor. I'm like, come on, let's go to the bench. She's like, I can't. She's like, just talk to us here. They were so tired. But she never quit. And it's the scary, it's a mental thing too, when you have an injury like that. You know, it's hard to get back into the swing of things to play the way you normally do, and she did. So thank you, Rhea. And last is Hannah Ruddle. Hannah's was someone I really wanted to slap at times during the season, but I knew that would be frowned upon by the board, so I did not. She was a really good leader and known as the mom of the team and was the organizer of all things fun. She was also part of the 1,000 point club and ended with 1,145 points. Okay, one wants to talk.
Uh-oh. No, I wanted to thank Jill and the Wildcat organization just for giving me an opportunity to be involved with this team. There's a lot of reasons that it couldn't have worked well or might not have worked well. One obviously being I'm with another team. Another being that I wasn't able to be there 100% of the time. So just you guys putting your trust in me to be involved with this means a lot. And honestly, this doesn't go outside this room, but I had a lot more fun with you guys than I did with you over yeah, so thank you guys for that. And the thing I'm most proud of this team is that, and I told the girls this, that they were playing their best basketball at the end of the year. Those last 4 games, I thought you guys played in a way that reflected what you were able to do on the floor. So being able to finish that way was really special to watch you guys. So thank you. Oh, one more thing, Wildcat Memes account, you're doing the Lord's work. I see you out there. I respect it.
Okay. Our first award is the Most Improved Award. It goes to someone that was very hesitant to even play. I saw her grow in her skill, her IQ, her tenacity, her toughness on the court. You know, when you have to tell someone, grab the ball with 2 hands and jerk it away. I mean, you know, when you're at varsity level, you don't expect to have to say that because most of these girls have dealt with it. The very first varsity game, I guess it was during June ball, they were terrified. I felt so bad for these young ones because they haven't played against any varsity players. And to go from junior high to seniors in high school, I mean, the quickness is different, the strength, the meanness of these girls. So I was really proud of this player, especially, she really shone at nationals, especially that last game. I remember telling her, drive to the basket, and then she wouldn't, but then she finally did. She got fouled, and she jerked the ball away from somebody. So my Most Improved Award goes to Addie Reese, who's not even here. Okay, my Defensive Player of the Year award goes to someone who constantly had bruises all over her. She was beat up, shoved, knocked down, but she never quit. She was a hacker, and it drove me nuts, and I would yell at her to not hack, but she wouldn't stop. But she got the job done, and she didn't foul out with too many. How many games you fell out of? Not too many. She averaged 9.3 rebounds a game and 2.5 steals a game. Like I said, she had 19 double-doubles. That's insane. So my Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Holly Woodard. My MVP goes to someone that was a leader on and off the court. She averaged 11.3 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 2 steals. Like I said, I really wanted to slap her at times. That mom in me kind of came out at times, but she worked hard, fought hard, and my MVP goes to Hannah Ruddle. And my Christian Character Award, this goes to a player that wasn't in the spotlight much. She did her job, she played her role. and she did it with great attitude. She was encouraging and kind, smiling most of the time. She worked hard, and I did not hear her ever once complain. The Christian Character Award goes to Melissa Tolbert. Okay, I'm going to put this out there. I am not coaching next year, which most people know. So we're looking for a new coach for the Varsity Girls. We're also looking for players. So if you know of anybody who would like to play or coach, well, if you know of anybody that, okay, then we would greatly appreciate it. Okay, thanks everyone.
They have a thing. They have a thing.
So about midway through the year, the girls may have invited us over to their house to hang out, and there was one specific player on our team who the tank. He may have broke a picture frame in her house on Addie Reese's head. So we decided to get you a present, and so a replacement, a better picture. So Ty has your present.
Fun.
Yeah, you gotta stay up there. You guys are the best. I can't do this the whole time. All right. Well, thank you, coaches. Everyone involved. I just got a few people that I want to thank. The board members, especially some that I work closely with throughout the year: Jennifer Walker, Shelly Dove, and Megan Day. You guys are amazing. Just all the work that you put in and dealing with me, not texting back and getting back with you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the varsity mothers. Just the prayer, the support, and the organization that you put into everything. Marie Gorley, Karen Owen, Amber, Michelle Cease. You guys writing those notes to the guys throughout the year was really special, and I know it meant a lot to them. And writing them to the coaches as well, it meant a lot to us. The weekly prayer emails that went out, and then Karen sending out the weekly updates to the team. Thank you guys for all your support and all that you do. My assistant coaches, I got a crew. Joshua Jones, Nathan Magnuson, and Trey Ochin. They each bring a great, unique perspective. It feels like I'm talking to the right person at the right moment. They always know what to say. They're just an absolute blessing to be with, and this team is where it is because of you guys, so thank you. All the parents and players at all the other levels, thank you guys for the support this year, coming out to our games, coming out to the pep rallies. It means a lot. It really builds a culture, a family, togetherness, and a high school kind of atmosphere for our varsity boys, and that means a lot, so we thank you for that. And lastly, I want to thank my wife, Lindsay, just for her dedication. I do this every week. Her dedication, her strength, unconditional love, support, patience, and her shared love for the Wildcats. Thank you. So, every year the regular season flies by, you go out to nationals, you have a blast where you're all together at the same place for 24 hours every day for a week. You leave nationals and the post-nationals, post-basketball season, depression sets in. Yeah. And I don't know about anyone else, but I did not know what to do with myself last week, not having basketball. Thankfully, I've got a full-time job that keeps me busy. So, but it's suddenly all over and a flood of emotions comes out. You try to break down the season, the team, what you could have done better, but you also just try to sit back and reflect and breathe for a second. So I did so. We witnessed these guys do some incredible things this year. Ty putting up a 50-piece in a meaningful sectional game, breaking the record for points in a game. The Gorley brothers, Aaron and Ian, combining for 42 charges in a season. So far, and it's not done yet because Richmond still has to send us one game of video footage. So when we get that, we'll be able to capture if they had any more charges. So that number's due to potentially go up. But Ian's got 22 on the season, and he holds the single season record for charges taken. So that's awesome. We saw an 8th grader in Jahari Miller go unconscious from 3 and put up 20 plus against some of the top IHSA teams in the state and hit a buzzer beater against Meadowdale at public school in Ohio, again as an 8th grader. Ty C scored 2,000 points in his career and 1,000 in his 2 years with the Wildcats. We brought back home the conference trophy. We won regionals, playing in a championship without our 2 leading scorers, and another 8th grader, as well as a freshman in Nate Dove and Ben Owens, stepping up and playing huge minutes. As well as Isaiah Ochin going off for what we coined the loudest 22 points of all time. And then you heard earlier we made it to the National Final Four, losing by only 2 points to the eventual champions who would win the national championship game by 23 points. So quite an accomplishment, guys. So those are some incredibly fun things. We also witnessed the hardest schedule the Wildcats have played so far. So tough to the point where a legendary Indiana high school basketball coach from Bloomington South and J.R. Holmes is talking to me wide-eyed saying, you guys really aren't joking around with your schedule. Throughout that schedule, we witnessed sickness, injuries, a season-ending injury, some tension, frustration, and even some just really bad losses. I often said to the guys this year in pre-games that I think we've seen it all and we are prepared for anything, just to immediately see something in that game that we had not felt or seen before. So we got to add it to the list. But such is a season with highs and lows. In my letter to the players, I talk about these lows and highs and that each of them shall pass. They last for a moment in time, but they always pass, and the one consistency we can have that is lasting is our joy in giving God the glory. While we accomplished a lot on paper and in trophy form, I'm most proud of how resilient these guys are, how much they will honor God in what they do, how humble they are in victory and defeat, how strong they are to take criticism and accept responsibility and adjust, how selfless they are to put aside some desires for the betterment of the team and another teammate, and lastly, their cheerful and joyful hearts towards their families and to the younger kids in this organization. Those things are worth more than any trophy we can win. Now, don't get me wrong, it was fun winning those trophies. I know I and this team believed from the very beginning that we could get where we got this year. I don't know if many others believed it. We heard rebuilding year this year, but we did it and we kept the faith through adversity. So good job, guys. I'm proud of you. You did fantastic. So to the awards. We start out with the MVP. This award was pretty clear cut as this guy showed up time and time again for his team. He played all 39 games this season, over 1,100 minutes, and averaged over 21 points per game. This dude put in work and etched his name into the record book in multiple sections. He was the MCHC Conference Player of the Year and the Midwest Regional Undisputed MVP. Mr. Babyface Assassin himself, Ty Steeson. MVP. Now, we don't have a physical award for this, but someone I wanted to recognize as an honorable mention for this award. This kid averaged over 18 points per game in 24 games that he played. He hit some crucial, absolutely tough, mind-boggling shots that won us some big, big games. He is a player that other teams specifically game planned heavily for to try to stop, and they still couldn't. I'm especially proud of the growth over the season that I have seen in him. He has a big smile and an even bigger heart. Your first team all-conference, and he's only an 8th grader. Give it up for Jared Miller. So most improved. This guy's a worker. He's a listener, and he's a kid that isn't afraid. His minutes this year were very spotty due to experience, matchups, and a learning curve, but by the end of the year, he became a major part of our success at Nationals. His presence, confidence, and composure on the court at the end of the year was completely different from the beginning of the year. He just started playing basketball last year, but has quickly worked his way into being a major contributor on a Final Four team. Braden Wampler. So our defensive player of the year. Enough cannot be said about the type of person and player this kid has been for our Wildcats organization. He's a person whose name will be mentioned by me to younger Wildcats for years to come as the embodiment of the Wildcat way. As a JV coach 5 years ago, I cut him from the JV team. He had every reason to be discouraged, angry, and want to quit, but over the past 4 years, he has scratched and clawed for everything he's gotten. He's worked, and his time came, and he fulfilled a role that is not desired by most players, but is an absolute necessity for a championship team. He took to heart a cultural element that I've desired that we have in place in taking charges, and he coined it the no-flight zone. As a coach, when you have younger level players, instead of showing you their shot form and dribbling skills in the lobby of a hotel, they show you how they can take a charge and celebrate with the no-flight zone celebration. It makes you proud as a coach that you can see that just a very special young man has done something very special for your program. I asked him to guard some of the best guards, and then in the next game I asked him to guard 6'7" post players in a rough and tough IHSA scheme. He performed time and time again and was the glue that held our defense together, even Gorley. Now, we don't have an award for this either, but I wanted to have two guys. I wanted to recognize them as honorable mention for this defensive player as well. These guys are Aaron Gorley and Luke Owen.
Yeah.
Aaron and Luke both won first team all defense at conference and each played huge roles this season in guarding some of the top players. Luke handled fast, highly skilled guards, and Aaron, as a freshman, guarded many older 6'5" and above players. They did both an amazing job, not only on the defensive end, but also had some big offensive games of 20-plus points that helped us win some very important games. As an added note, Luke Owen was voted an All-American for his performance at the regional tournament. And Aaron is close to that single-season Wildcat record with 20 charges on the season. So let's hear it for Luke and Aaron. So Christian Character Award, the Wildcat Way Award, how it's been kind of coined before. This is one of the most important awards in our program, and I save it for last for that reason. Usually this guy racks up Most Improved Player awards like nobody's business. But this year we're going to go a little bit different direction. No matter whether he's playing big minutes and going off, or whether he's sitting on the bench for extended periods of times, he supports his teammates with the utmost enthusiasm and energy and was a consistent spark in practice and at team events. He felt my wrath and criticism in many practices and games, but he's proceeded forward with a yes sir and kept the same consistent high energy and enthusiasm right after. He's the one that makes everything fun, even in difficult situations, and has a joyful heart. Isaiah Ocean. Lastly, I want to thank EJ Smith and Jacob Crochelle for just being great supporters for their teammates, with their season being cut short. That takes a lot of selflessness and character, and you guys showing up time and time again for your teammates, even though you weren't able to play, is something honorable. So thank you guys so much for that. So thank you all again for your support this season. This team has done some special things for this program. I'm so proud of the young men that they're turning out to be. Thank you.
If you are having relatives at home saying, hey, I can't see the live stream, I'm videoing it right now on 1080 and I'm gonna upload it to YouTube afterwards because it just kept shutting down on me. There was nothing I could do. So everything got videoed, and I'll probably try to pull it all together at some point so that you can have a cohesive single video. But it is now my honor to present the Wildcat Award. Now this award does not go to a player. This award usually goes to an adult who has really invested in the club. But I want to start with a question. What does it mean to be a biblical leader? According to Mark 10:42-45, it says, Jesus called them together and said, you know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them, but not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. And for even the Son of Man to not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And just the act of trying to get together some photos for this award was so difficult because the two people who are giving it this year are never in the same place and they are always serving somewhere. Like their own children could not find the pictures of them together. It was that hard. As we all know, the Wildcats are a volunteer club, as Mark likes to say, and we cannot do this thing without each person pitching in and doing their part. He literally already gave that speech today. I have heard that speech in 7 years, no less than 14 times. However, in this club, the callings of some go above and beyond the normal. There are several families who would fall into this category, mostly including former and current board members and coaches and their families. This year, I have also seen some grandparents step into that type of role, and we appreciate you. Tonight, we're going to honor one family who has served in this way for about a decade. They have done all of the jobs you can think of, from washing sweaty uniforms on repeat, to accurately doing the scorebook and clock, something I never want to do again, to poring over new uniform designs with other moms until she gets it just right, to cold calling and emailing various schools and programs to get games on the schedule, to board meetings and more board meetings, all the way to handling many sensitive issues to maintain unity in our Wildcat family. For this, and so much more, I want to thank Mark and Jana Woodard, and Jenny has a gift I think she's bringing up. They have led a family, a church, and this basketball club for more years than most of us want to think about all at once. Mark and Jana, I'm not done. I'm just waiting for you to go to applause. Mark and Jana, we want to thank you for all the conversations, the prayers, the cheers, the lost sleep, the thoughtfulness and encouragement, as well as the time away from your own kids. Because I know what that's like, and it's hard. So that you could give your children and our children the right example of this servant leadership that Mark talks about, because Mark, you were aptly named. Thank you to Luke, Alyssa, and Holly as well, because you are the ones that for almost your whole childhood have sacrificed time with your parents so that they could help build this club. The Woodards will always be a huge part, the keystone, the foundation of this club, and certainly among the top reasons that we're about to celebrate 30 years as Wildcats. So please accept this gift, and we have a date night to Harry and Izzy's for you from us, because boy, have you earned it. And Jimmy already got your picture, so. And with that, I'm going to ask Mark, as president, to do one more thing and close us out in prayer.
You know, I can't just do that after that. So, like I said, all of these young, energetic board members are going to lead this club in the correct and right direction. And so they all have the same servant's heart. Shelly does, Ginny does, the high shoes, the Walkers, Megan. There's so many in this club that make this thing happen. So I just appreciate everybody and everybody's time. Now we're going to run this one shining moment, and then we'll close this thing out in prayer.
I just need to make sure the sound works.
If the lights go out, they may not come back on, Shelly says. Everybody have their phone light on.
After the one shining moment and the prayer, I am going to take pictures of all the teams. So I would like everybody on that wall and just make a line and we'll take a picture of every team. If you could get your trophies and everybody have your little awards, I'll take a picture. And then we also want a picture of the 12U boys and Varsity boys gold ball picture and the Varsity girls bronze ball. So, got it, everybody?
Time is short and the road is long in the booking of an hour.